Welcome back to the podcast. And today we are with Josh McKenzie. Josh McKenzie is the creator at Caribou Media. He was brought to my attention by my husband as he does a lot of educational type videos in the hunting niche. So thank you very much, Josh, for joining me. Welcome to my podcast. I really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, I'm going to jump right into it, and I'm going to ask a few questions along the way. So feel free to share your thoughts, share your experiences. We're looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Okay.
So Josh, can you tell us a little bit about you and about your YouTube channel?
Sure. So, like you said, my name's Josh McKenzie. I'm married. I have two kids that are teenagers. I got into the hunting space about 6 years ago. We bought a farm out in the country, and we were gifted I think it was like a quarter of grass-fed, grass-finished cow from a local farmer, and we loved it. And it just kind of made my mind think about what other animals taste like. So that kind of got me into it. There aren't a lot of people in the family that hunt, so I kind of leaned on one or two people who do, and a couple of people that I know, and learned a thing or two, and that's kind of been how that got started. In terms of the channel, I'm the type of person that likes to research things a lot before I buy them. So with YouTube being around, I'll almost get to the point where I'll watch every video that's been put out on the subject before I buy something, and then I almost know more about it than the people that sell it themselves. So what I was finding was there were a lot of videos that didn't really meet what I was looking for. I'm not knocking, there's a lot of good, great creators out there, but at the time, I'd look up something that I wanted to buy, and there'd be a video of a guy sitting in his living room. The camera would be in one corner. He'd be sitting at his coffee table. You couldn't even see what he was talking about. And it just kind of made me think that I could probably do something better and start my own channel where I show certain products that I like using and have it be so you can almost reach out and touch it through the screen, and just kind of provide whatever knowledge I could about it, and then share my experiences when I go out into the field, because I'd come home and tell stories of things that had happened, and people are like, oh, no way, that's crazy. Like, did that really happen? And so that's kind of how the ball got rolling with the channel.
Oh, awesome. I should probably say right now, I am a vegetarian, pretty much almost completely plant-based. So the fact that I have a hunter on my channel, I'm just saying that we are here for supporting creators. Mm-hmm. This is never going to be something that, I'm never going to advocate my way of life, etc. So I just want to put it out there that, I welcome all creators, regardless of where we are in our time and space. So Josh, I know you mentioned you got into more hunting in the last few years. Is this something that, you've always maybe had the inclining of? Or where did the passion, and I realize that you use a lot of bow hunting. So where did the passion of bow hunting come from?
I started archery when I was 7. We were at a family resort, and they had a lot of kids programs during the day so that the parents could drop their kids off and then have the day to themselves and then pick the kids up at the end of the day. So I was never really, I wasn't always a fan of doing things like that or meeting new people when I was young, because I don't know, I just wasn't really my thing. I just kind of wanted to be left alone. But my mom dragged me to the gym where they did the archery, and it was outside, and there was a hay bale set up, and it wasn't anything overly extravagant. It was just, there were some bows there from, kind of like the ones you would get from Canadian Tire for $30 that had, 3 arrows with them. And I did that for an hour, and I got hooked right away. And then every year I'd come back, I'd do it again and again. And then high school came around, and there was an archery team. So I joined that and got a little bit better. And then when college came around, I completely dropped off the map with it. And then a friend of mine called me up and said, who I was on the archery team with, and he said, we got to get back into shooting. And they have these things called compound bows now that have these wheels on them that spin, and it's like completely different from what we were using before, because we were it was Olympic recurves, which is just like a big piece of wood. And things have evolved a lot now. But that's kind of how I got back into archery. And then when the hunting thing sprouted in my brain, I connected more with a bow than a gun. I did spend the first year in a tree stand with a rifle, and I didn't really feel anything. Like I wasn't really connected to what I was doing. It wasn't until I introduced the bow into the mix that it felt like the right thing for me.
It's an interesting way. We don't realize how much of an influence, parents can have in our later parts of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a real kind of positive thing. I assume that you probably also feel a lot more connected because of the memory there, of just reconnecting to the youth and your childhood and those positive experiences that you got out of it. So.
Yeah, there's definitely, like every time I pick it up, I kind of think about her and I'm brought back to, how it all started. So it's a great pastime. It's great to just even going out in the backyard and shooting at a target is great for, even your mental health and stress relieving and taking you away from your job or whatever is going on at home, and just give you some time to not think about anything but trying to get an arrow to hit the middle of a target. So
My husband's a military husband, and I have shot a few times myself. So I have to say there is something alluring or addicting, or it really, that primal kind of urge that comes out of you when you grab something so powerful. I
right.
can only imagine, like, the and I have shot archery before myself as well, just for fun, but I can only imagine how powerful that feels to connect that closely with the weapon or the tool that you choose to use as well.
Right.
So, Josh, you mentioned that you started your YouTube channel because you were looking for more in-depth information about products and tools that are used in the hunting niche. So did you have any goals back then, or has anything changed from when you first started your video compared to now?
I always had it in the back of my mind that eventually it would be nice to turn it into something that I could make money from, or make money from that I can put back into it to then be able to buy more things. Because everything that for the most part, the majority of the things that I'm talking about on my channel, I've gone out and purchased myself. There's only been a couple of things that were sent to me. And even when it's been a situation where the company has said, hey, we want to send you this or that, there's no promise on my end that I'm necessarily going to like what they're sending me, and I make sure that that's clear, because I'm not a paid talking head, right? Like, the whole point of this is to branch out and talk about a number of different things and not kind of be stuck. When you start signing contracts or getting in with certain companies, then you can only talk about the things that they're producing. And when there's been times where I've kind of thought that that might be the way to go, I kind of remind myself that the whole reason I started this was to give honest reviews about various things that are out in the space that I find to be useful for people. So I try not to go down that road. I mean, I don't know what the future will bring, but that's kind of where I want to stay, is even if I do turn out to start making money from this, that it'll just end up going back into what I'm doing anyway, either whether it's upgrading camera gear or buying more products to talk about, or something of that nature, getting another camera lens, something like that, or expanding on the cameras that I bring with me when I go up in a tree stand or something like that. I always want to just keep filtering it back into what I'm doing, and I'm kind of setting it up now so that when I do have the opportunity to retire, it'll be already going full steam ahead. It's not like I'm starting from scratch, because really with the whole YouTube space, trying to get anywhere, I mean, I guess it all depends on the niche that you're getting into. But I've seen some people post 20 videos in like a financial section, where all they're talking about is money and different ways of making money, or and that seems to blow up faster than, say, what I'm doing, where I've got 160 videos and it's been 2.5 years and I'm not monetized yet. So it's kind of depends on what you're doing and whether people want to watch it or not. It's the same with different topics. I'll put out a video about something that I think is going to be amazing. People are going to love this, and nobody watches it. And then I talk about something technical with an arrow, and it blows up to like 30,000 views, right? So you don't really know. I mean, there's times where you can kind of predict what's going to happen, but there's no real way of telling all the time. So in terms of making money, it's not always a quick. You don't think, oh, I'm going to start a YouTube channel tomorrow and then I can quit my job next week because everything's going to be fine. No, it doesn't work that way. It can take years. Sometimes people go at it for 10 years and they still, they're not getting the exposure maybe, and it also goes down to video quality and lighting, and then how you edit it and what kind of music you use, and if that's all timed properly. And yeah, there's a lot of factors. And then even when you're uploading it, if you don't have a good thumbnail, if it's too busy with words or pictures or whatever, people might not click on it. They'll click on something else. So it's not a quick way to make money, but I'm kind of doing it for the enjoyment and the stress relief and kind of introducing what I think would help the archery and hunting community. And so far I've got a lot of positive feedback from it, but in no way is it a quick way to make a buck. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you 110%. I had a previous food channel, and I will say food is one of the most competitive niches out there. And right. Even though I saw some early wins there, I will say you really do have to have a passion and a drive for what you're doing. Right. Otherwise, you're just doing it. And I will admit, I ran out of steam because it was just so difficult to film food videos, because there's just so many camera angles you have to add. There's so many retakes you have to do. I mean, something that normally in my kitchen, and the reason I got into food was because it was something I loved to do. And something that normally would take me 15, 20 minutes to make, when you're filming it, it's a 4-hour process.
Oh, yeah.
So, you definitely need to be passionate and vested into, where you want to be. And this being a brand new channel, I have zero expectations for monetization for probably the next 10 years. No, sorry, not 10 years. I'm hoping 2 years. 2 years is my personal goal. But if it doesn't happen that way, I've heard of so many other successes, even with a small following. Again, it comes down to loving what you do. And this is one of the things I love to do is business and creator business. This is something that I could talk about day in, day out, whether it's helping creators or business owners build a channel, or the other way, helping people build a business. And then, yeah, I'm loving this podcast thing of talking to other business owners or other creators. It is like, I think I've discovered my sweet spot, I'll be honest.
Yeah. And having a secondary thing, like having a podcast on top of that, is just going to help bring more people to what you're doing, which is...
Yeah. Well, and it's not even the people to me. I want the people to visit the people I'm interviewing. I want to interview interesting people who have interesting experiences and have something different to bring to, the YouTube space, or if it ends up on Spotify space or whatever the case may be. I just really want to use this as an outlet to help my fellow creators get out there as well. So that's the bigger thing for me, is bringing back to others. So
yeah, there certainly is a lot that you might not think about when you're getting started. Like the whole media side of my name, I was thinking I'd be doing photography, video, and music. So at the beginning, I've got some guitars behind me. My thought was that I would write all of the music that I was going to use in every single one of my videos. And when I told my wife that, she's like, "You're an idiot, because there's no way you're going to have the time to do all of those things and put them all together." And at first I was like, no, yes, I can. And I did for the first couple. And then I quickly realized, no, this is hard, and it's taking up every second of my time. And I'm sitting in this little office almost every hour that I'm not at work, and then I'm going back to work, which isn't fair to the other people that live in the house. So I quickly realized I needed to branch out a bit, and that's when I got into the subscription based music websites where you can download songs that you can use without any copyright issues in your videos. So that's been
Yeah.
a huge game changer. It didn't take me very long to sort that out, but um, yeah, it's definitely helpful.
I'm giggling and laughing because I know myself for the few videos that I have on this channel and the experience I had before. I know how many hours it took me just to look for the song that I wanted to use
Yeah.
because I have analysis by paralysis or paralysis by analysis. I have that often of you know, did I choose the right song? Did I choose the right vibe? But I can only imagine trying to write all the music myself.
I
No.
don't know.
Bless you, Josh, for
Yeah,
trying. Honestly, bless you for trying. But
it's too big of
yeah,
a venture.
I would say the audio, the epidemic sounds, the anything out there is probably a better choice at this point, unless well, maybe you are a full. Well, actually, you mentioned it. You mentioned work, so I guess you work as well as are a creator then too.
Yeah, I have a full time career that takes up probably 70% of my time, 70 to 80% of my time. So I wish I could do this full time. And if I could make what I make at work doing this, then I'd probably walk away tomorrow. But no, I do love my job, but this is definitely where all my passion lies. And it's definitely something that will be nice to do come retirement as a full time thing. Some people are always looking for a part time job once they retire. And I was always of the thought that once I retire, I'm not working anymore. But if I can make something that I enjoy doing into making money for me later on, then that's kind of a win-win. But as long as it's like I said before, it's not restricting me to the point where, um, like there's been a lot of people I've met through Instagram. It's been a very powerful tool for connecting people who are like-minded individuals in the same space. And a number of the people that I've kind of connected with are very interested in trying to get signed on with this company or that company or becoming part of a pro staff or and there was a time where I thought that was obviously if certain companies approach me tomorrow I'd probably be like, yeah, sure, because I use their stuff anyway. But to kind of restrict yourself when you're trying to grow a channel that's supposed to be talking about a variety of things is not always the best way to go, because then you kind of get stuck where something new might come out from company A over here, but you can't even touch it or talk about it because you're supposed to be talking about this stuff over here. Yeah, I try and just keep reminding myself whenever that thought pops into my head. I haven't been offered anything like that too much from anybody. Yeah, like I said, the odd time I'll get, I'd say probably about 95 to 98% of the stuff that I've talked about on my channel I've already purchased myself, but the odd things will get sent my way, and you build relationships with people. And like there's a broadhead company that I've I kind of liked their products and bought some of them, and then met the owner through Instagram, and then he approached me last year and said, "Hey, I've got a prototype that I'm building. Would you test it for me and let me know what you think?" So I'm like, "That's right up what I want. That's right up my alley, so sure." And then he sent it to me, and he said, "Just tell me if you have any problems with it." And I had a couple of issues that I said, "You need to get this sorted out before this hits the market, or you're going to have a big problem." And he said, "Thanks, we didn't realize that. We'll fix that right away." So you kind of build relationships as you go along, which is very helpful and nice as you're trying to build your following. But I guess it all depends on what you're looking for to do. If because once you get, I guess I know some people on the flip side of it. I don't know if you want, if you're talking a lot about Instagram or not, but I know a lot of people, not a lot of people. I know a few people that have purchased followers and their channels explode, and then they start getting all this opportunity. And then on the flip side, you've got people who are not doing that, who are slugging it out, trying to say, "Hey, look at me over here," but there's other people that are kind of buying their way to get to what you eventually want to get to, and it doesn't seem fair. It's kind of it all depends on where you sit, I guess, with what you're comfortable with doing.
Yeah, and that it's interesting you mentioned about the purchasing of followers. And you constantly hear of updates coming, like for instance, like YouTube now is going to be cracking down on some of those faceless AI channels.
Mm-hmm.
So you're wondering behind the scenes, do they know? Do they know who is buying followers? But will those channels be disengaged somewhat? Will some of the followers, realize that the channel's not very active? I remember a few years ago, there was somebody who I knew, and it didn't make sense why she had 5,000 plus followers. It just didn't make sense to me. And when I started looking at, some of the engagement on some Instagram posts, etc., you realize it's like one or two people
Yeah,
only who is liking or commenting on the post. So
that's a sign right there.
if I can figure it out, I'm sure sponsors can figure it out as well. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we'll see what the future holds for the whole social media marketing kind of space and genre. So,
Mm-hmm.
I guess on that, where do we see Caribou Media mostly? Like, what kind of social media channels do you use predominantly for your creator business?
I'm primarily on Instagram and YouTube. Facebook is happens as a result of I just have them connected so that anything I put up on Instagram ends up on Facebook anyway. I do have a TikTok account where I'll post things here and there, but that's not my main my main platform. I'm more Instagram based, and obviously the YouTube channel, trying to get that to as big as I can. So those would be the two that I focus on the most. And again, like I said, Facebook is just kind of happens as a result of the Instagram posts.
Yeah,
Um,
the attachment together.
yeah, but it's amazing how even with that, like I try not to think about, um, when you're talking about growth, like I can remember I had around 500 or so followers on Instagram, and I was kind of sitting in the living room, and my daughter came and sat down beside me on the couch. I was like trying to think of ways of how I could kind of get myself out there a little bit more. Because again, you're seeing people in the same space, growing pretty quickly, and I was kind of slow. You go a couple of weeks and you might get one person, and then you'd lose three, right? Or then you gain a couple more, and then you're thinking, well, the three that I lost, were they fake, people or bots or whatever? Because they'll show up every now and again trying to get you to click on their stuff. So it was kind of frustrating, and she kind of put it in perspective. She's like, oh, you've got like 558 followers or whatever. She's like, that's like everybody in my school sitting at the gym, in the gym, watching your video. And for some reason I was like, I didn't really think about it that way. Like, that is a lot of people when you think about it. Every time you're putting something up, all of those people are getting, that they're all of those people have decided that they want to know when you're talking about something new, right? So it can quickly turn into just a numbers game where you're like, oh, I just want this to go higher and higher and higher. But sometimes we need to put it in perspective that, even the smaller numbers on the scale are still pretty significant when you think about, every single one of those hopefully is an actual person that wants to hear from you again. It's the same with YouTube, but it is like I said, it can be a hard thing to turn into a business if you're depending on what space you're trying to get into. Like I said, I know that I was watching one video about somebody talking about how they got monetized or what their first. There's a few creators that'll put out videos like what YouTube paid me after my first 1,000 subscribers or something to that effect. So I think I clicked
Yep,
on one
I've
guys.
watched them too.
Yeah, so I think I
Yep.
clicked on one just to be because I was curious, and it was a finance channel, and the guy was like, "Oh yeah, I put up my 25th video, and it only took me 6 months, and I was monetized." And I'm like, here I am, 2.5 years in, 160 videos. I'm not there yet, right? But it all depends on the niche that you're trying to get into, and whether or not you're putting out things that people are searching for is another one. And it's not that I'm not putting out things that searching or people are searching for. I just have found through some of the videos that I've put up, there have been some that have completely skyrocketed when I didn't expect them to, like I had said before, and others that didn't go anywhere when I thought they would. So it all depends on what people are searching for and what they're clicking on or coming back to or sharing. Or and it's interesting to watch, especially on the YouTube side of it. Whenever you put something out, usually YouTube will put it in the top 10 of that search for that particular item. So say it's like I just did one for a rangefinder, which is a little device you hold up to your eye, you click a button, and it tells you how far a target is away from you so you can shoot properly and hit the target. So I had reached out to actually this company, Maven Optics, and I said I really liked. I had never tried their stuff because it's super expensive, but I said, this is my channel, this is what I do. I'd love to try out, one of your rangefinders and do a review about it. I'll send it back to you. Like, I'm not looking for free stuff here. And they were like, yeah, sure, we'll send you one. Again, you have to either send it back or buy it. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And so I played around with it for a bit. It's incredible. I spent like a week with it, and then I was going to do a longer term review. It's normally what I do is that I'll try things out. I'll talk about all the features that come with it. And then I'll do a longer term one later about this is how it held up after 6 months or a year or whatever. And I thought, oh, this one's going to go like through the roof. And it did okay at first. So it'll spend the first maybe 3 days in the top 10, sometimes in the top 5. Mm-hmm. And then after that, it'll drop away to like way down the list, right? Depending on how it's doing. Other ones that I've done where, like I said before, it's been about something technical about an arrow. It'll get a lot of traction right off the bat. So it'll stay in the top 10, maybe go into the top 3. And then it'll stay there for a while. And some of them, even if I search for them now, they're still up in the top few rankings because of how well they've done and continued to grow over the year or two. So it's not really anything that you have any control over unless you're doing an abundance of research into what people are looking at, searching for.
Yeah. Right?
And whether that's something that you actually want to talk about or not.
It's so true. I never deleted my cooking channel, and I have a video that is, you search up a term on Google and my video comes up as being the number one driver for that term. So and it is a holiday based type of video. So right. Every special occasion, this video trends. And it's kind of amazing because like it was something I did 2 years ago. And it was something I did on a whim. It was not something that I sat down and scripted. I was just like, okay, I'm just going to film what I'm doing in this moment.
Right.
But seeing that something you put out today could maybe pop off significantly later. That's the beauty of like why I love YouTube, because of the fact that there is that evergreen model. Whereas, yes, I'm on Instagram. Yes, I'm on Twitter, TikTok, etc. I haven't started posting my videos there yet, these ones. But what I'm seeing is that, YouTube is very evergreen, whereas Instagram is very 24 hours. That's pretty much the way that I feel it. I'm also not really active on Instagram or Facebook at all. So I feel sometimes that I miss out on things that people post because of the fact that Instagram and Facebook is so very what they'd like to push, and also what based on timing. So anyway, just my input. So
it's also sorry to jump in on that a little bit. As things change too, you have to be willing to change with it. Like I've always been a long form video person. I'm learning that YouTube they don't like long video. Well, nobody in society now likes anything that's overly long. They want to get instantly gratified and move on to the next thing. But the reviews that I normally do, I'm learning now, should be somewhere between 5 to 9 minutes. And even then, people aren't going to watch the whole thing. So you can see in your analytics, they'll click through. You'll get them for like the first 30 seconds to a minute and a half, and then it starts to drop off, right? So there are some longer form videos that I'll put out because that's just the topic. If I'm talking about something and I need to hit certain things about it, then it's going to be long, and so be it. There are going to be people that are going to watch it, and they're going to watch it all the way through, or they're going to click through the certain points that they want to watch. And then there's other times where I've had, like I did one recently about, I got back from a trip. I went to BC for on an elk hunt, and I had this great big backpack full of stuff. So I did like a pack dump of everything I took with me, and it took me an hour to go through all that stuff. And I had like 17 things out on this table out in my barn where I do all the filming, and I talked about each thing. And then I posted it, and I'm like, nobody's going to watch this because it's an hour and 5 minutes. So on another channel that I was watching, what they did in a similar video that they did is they chopped up their hour video into a series of smaller videos as well. So you still post the long one, and then I put out, I am slowly putting out 17 videos that are about 3 to 5 minutes long, talking about those specific things. So you may get people that will click on that as opposed to clicking on your hour video and trying to go through to whatever it is that they want to watch. On the flip side, now everybody's filming like this instead of like this, which is completely annoying to me because that's not how I've done video. So, but if you're doing a short for YouTube or you're doing a reel for Instagram, you're going to get a lot more interest when you're filming straight up and down as opposed to horizontal. So I'm kind of reminding myself of that. And I just posted something yesterday. It's 15 seconds of me shooting an arrow from multiple different angles. And within the first 12 hours, I had 24,000 views to it. And it's,
Isn't it amazing?
and 3 new subscribers to the channel. And I'm like, it can take me sometimes a couple of weeks to get one person from the
Yeah.
longer form videos, but here I didn't even say anything. I just was shooting an arrow 3 or 4 times, and people are scrolling and they're like, yep, it's very quick. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is have your, way of doing things. Like I'll never go away from the long form videos, but I am learning that I need to get on the short train of doing quick things as well, because that seems to be a great way of growing faster and getting people interested. And there is a huge market for that as well.
Yeah. You're talking about that, and I'm literally in this moment, like not this moment, but right now, my last day has been editing shorts, just trying to get as many shorts done as I possibly can. And there's some like really great AI based tools out there that have been helping me with the process. But I will say, I don't have time working full time and trying to create and building a business and consulting on the side and all of that. I just don't have the time to edit long form, short form, different angles, different cameras, etc.
Yeah.
at this time. And
Right.
I understand, like, if I ever have the privilege of doing this full time, I can look at things differently in that sense. But I totally get you. I realize that I do need to create some short form, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying you specifically. I just mean in general
Yeah.
for people, even if you don't, even when it comes down to the music, like my daughter was like, Dad, the song you picked sucks for that. I'm like, yeah, but the one that you're suggesting, I absolutely hate. She's like, yeah, that doesn't matter. People like this song. It's popular right now. You should use it because you're going to get more people clicking on your video just because of the song. So there's even that angle to it, right? It can be a wild thing depending
Yeah.
on what you're willing to do.
I'm a big advocate for still sticking to, your ideal client, your ideal viewer,
Right.
because they're the ones who have been there the longest. They're the ones who, you know, feel you, understand you, want to be part of your tribe as much as you want to be part of theirs. I still believe creating for your ideal client or ideal viewer, but I get a lot of the younger generation create for, the following.
Right.
And, but you never know. You never know which is better. Um, personally, I want to work with the people who I vibe with. And, you know, if it means that I don't use a trending sound or trending song, so be it. I'm okay with it. If I'm not using the exact brand colors that everyone else is out there using, so be it. I want to be true to me, and I want to be true to the people who will find me because of it. So
Yeah, and people will definitely see that and see through you if you're trying to, bend yourself to whatever is popular. Especially when it comes to, if you're trying to talk about a product. Like, I try to make sure I remind people that I'm not sponsored or paid by any of these companies. Yeah, Maven gave me this hat when they sent me the rangefinder, but they didn't send me talking points and say, hey, make sure you mention this or talk about this. They were like, here, let everybody know what you think. And that's, they're standing behind their product, and they know they put out something of a good quality. But there's, people will see through you if you're like, oh, this is the best set of binoculars on the market. And it's like, well, hold on a second.
yeah.
They're $300. There's $5,000 pairs of binoculars out there. How can you say that without, you haven't even tried any of them? So people will quickly eat you alive online and in this whole space if you're trying to, you know, pretend to be something you're not. Or so sticking to your guns, like you were saying, and not bending to the ways of how things may be going and what society likes or whatnot is the best way to be, because you'll eventually get to where you want to be as long as you're staying true to yourself. And like I said, reminding myself, when an opportunity comes up to become a brand ambassador for this or for that, it's like, is this really what I wanted to do from the beginning? Because if I do that, then I'm going to be stuck talking about this one thing as opposed to, you know, branching out. But there may come a time where that changes. But for right now, it's trying to stick to what the beginning goal was is still the same thing as when I started. So
I heard a puppy. Yeah. So I want to ask, you've mentioned brands, you've mentioned sponsors a couple times. Have you, as a smaller creator who's not monetized, have you had any kind of, I know you mentioned you've had product provided to you. Is there anything else that you have gotten as a small creator outside of, a free product here and there?
um, not really. It's there's been some companies I've reached out to, and again, just trying to do the whole review side of things, and they don't even respond to you. There's others that will let you down gently, because at the stage I'm at now, I'm not. I don't consider myself to be big enough yet where I don't have enough of a following that companies are coming to me directly. I'm more reaching out to them. So, like, I've had the odd person send me things to talk about, but nothing monetarily. There was one person that asked if I could produce a video for them, but it was something that I had already um, purchased and used already, so that was fine. But um, I haven't really gone. I'm not really pushing it as I'm a media company that can do X, Y, and Z for your brand. If like, I'm not trying to produce commercials and then go and do my videos that I want to do. Like, that's
Right.
not. I mean, that may change later on, but that's not really where I haven't had any opportunities like that. So, nor
Well,
have I put any thought into whether I want to do that or not.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, the reason I ask is like you've probably picked the two most expensive niches,
right. Yeah.
photography, video, and hunting. Like,
Right.
so I wondered if there was, any kind of supplementing,
There is.
your hobby in that sense. So
Right. So, some companies, when you reach out to them, they'll say, we won't send you this for free, but we'll give you a discount. Or they'll say, we're going to give you an affiliate code. So that code is just for you. And if you post about our stuff and you put in the code and people click on your code or whatever, or your link, and they buy something, then you'll get a commission, whatever. Like, there's that. There is also that way of making money. And I know people who have other channels than what I'm doing that are maybe more focused on products that are a lot more inexpensive, like
Right.
say like a health and beauty or home and like a, you know, like a, nothing, like everything that I'm dealing with is basically a high ticket item for the most part. And the likelihood of somebody clicking on and buying something with whatever link I've been offered is pretty, or if they'll say, hey, we'll offer your subscribers $10 off. Well, $10 off a $300 target, people aren't going to care enough to want to do that. It's not enough of an incentive for people to really click on those things. So whenever I'm offered something like that, I'm usually like, well, like, no, I'm not really for it because of the fact that it's a lot of work, and then you turn out looking like I've had a few people comment, not directly to me, but I've learned through other people that, Josh's page is starting to look like just one big ad space for companies, where he keeps posting about this company or that company. And it's like, I like it when he talks about stuff that he's doing, but he seems to be putting up a lot of stuff about this arrow company or this bow company or this whatever. And sometimes you have to do that to kind of get some attention or to try and talk about the things that you like. But at the same time, it can also look like you're just a big channel for everybody else to kind of advertise on, which you got to find the happy medium, I guess, or the balance between the two. Because if somebody like a backpack company is giving me, like, hypothetically, if they were giving me a great commission on their bags or something, and I started posting about that bag, daily or even weekly, people are gonna be like, "Oh my god, this is like enough of this. I'm out of here." Right?
Yeah. I
So
didn't sign up for
it's
this. Yeah.
yeah. So it's a lot of, you got to find kind of a happy medium for it, I guess.
Yeah.
But there are ways of making money. Just in this space that I'm in, it can be kind of difficult, if you don't want to turn into a big advertising channel.
Yeah, you don't want billboards and everything all over the place, flashing lights,
Yeah.
advertising a product. I think of as a kid, sometimes early Sunday mornings, there was only a couple of options on TV. The one option was a fishing channel or something like that. And I think of, like the Babazoomies of the world, who I'm sure they got sick and tired of talking about the same brand of rubber worm, for
Right.
instance. They probably got sick and tired of it at a
Mhm.
certain point, but they were tied to talking about the rubber worm. So,
Right.
it I agree with my channel as well. um, I'm trying to remain as neutral as possible. I have tried everything that I plan on creating a video on. I have tried what I use and the alternatives to make sure that I'm giving different perspectives, because I work a certain way, somebody else may work a certain way. So I think you're doing it the right way, in the sense that you are trying to remain neutral as much as possible. But at the same time, we're creators. If you want to develop an income out of this full time, you are going to have to, yes, quote unquote, sell out one day,
Mm.
whether it be one brand, a couple of brands,
Right.
over a period of time. But I agree. No flashing billboards, not into that. I have unsubscribed to many creators in the past
Hmm.
who have become, how would I say, infomercials, basically.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
So the way I would like to get around that is, instead of having a specific ad video where I'm saying, "Hey, I'm so and so from this place. This is a great dehydrated food that I eat all the time. You should eat it too." Instead of doing that, I'd rather show it in a video. You can see it. You see it a couple of different times from different angles. I'm making it, I'm eating it, whatever. I'm probably talking about something else, but I'm not coming in your face with it saying, "Go buy this now," or use this code and save 30%.
right.
I'm still showing it and trying to advertise it through what I'm already doing,
Yeah. And I did
which I
notice on your videos, because I obviously watch a few of them before I interview you. I noticed on your videos, you do say right off the bat, I am not being sponsored. This
right.
is my earnest
Mhm.
review of this. So it's nice to see that, yes, I am trying a product because that's the premise of, your goal of your original channel was to show the products and services that you were looking for, you wanted information on, just
Mhm.
weren't there. You are trying to fill that gap. But there's very much like a give and take that you are going to have to do in that sense before you
Right.
become the walking billboard. So,
And people really like hearing direct examples when you have experience with something. Like I have some hunting clothing that I bought that is really expensive, like ridiculously expensive. But I bought it because I knew that it works and it's going to possibly save my life one day. And it did when I was in BC. It's a layering system. You're supposed to have multiple layers on, and that's how you use it to how it's designed, and it keeps your body heat in and stuff like that. So I went to sleep without it on, and the temperature dropped from 17 degrees to 0. And I woke up freezing. And I heard in the back of my head the marketing manager from Sitka, this company, saying, "This is how you rewarm yourself when you're in this kind of situation." I put the clothes back on and I got myself my temperature back up. So I made sure to tell that story when I was doing the video about it. And people are like, "This is what we want. We want direct, this is a," or I was taking my dock out and I got soaked. It was freezing. I had that stuff with me. I put it on. It wicked all of the moisture away from me while I was driving home, and I got home and I was completely dry because that's what it's designed to do.
the
And those
real life
real
experience
life,
in
I'm
using
not
it.
just regurgitating what it says on the website. You're telling a story about something that you've actually used. People are going to grab onto that and love that because it's real and it's not just a talking head in front of the camera trying
Yeah.
to tell you the same thing as the last 4 videos that were just posted about the same thing. So, depending on what you're going to be talking about with your channel, whoever's listening to this, it's always, if you are product based, it's always good if you can talk about the things that you're showing on a personal level, not just regurgitating what the website might say, right?
I'm part of a YouTube mastermind, and yesterday we did a video reviews of each other. And
Mm.
one of the things, the feedback that I got on one of my videos was that we love the parts where you talk about how this is experienced in your life, but then you pull back and you just talk about process. And we
Right.
want a little bit more of experience. How is the process and the experience together? And that was totally on me because I feel that, people don't want to hear about me. They just want to hear about how it will help them or what it is that they can do to help themselves.
Mm.
However, I didn't put the two together in saying that my own experience will help them understand how to use it, how to do it better, how exactly it can help them in the long run as well. They can put themselves into the situation and say, yes, this is where, you mentioned the getting wet at the dock, right? Maybe in Canada, and I know that we're both from Canada, maybe in Canada, that at this time of year coming into the winter, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in the southern parts of the States, not so much a big deal. However, based on you telling that story, they could have a different experience where they're associated to that. Maybe they've been in a lake and then gone into the nighttime where it's more arid and it does drop significantly fast, right? So they can put themselves into that situation
Right.
even without having the exact same experience. It just gives them the visual in their mind that they can work with. So, yeah,
Mm.
it's one of the big lessons that I'm going to personally take back. And hearing it again from you just
Yeah.
reconfirms that 100%.
It's even, as you grow with your channel and things. And I caught myself thinking about, what am I going to do now? Because when I started, I had like 12 videos that were done, ready to go. And then I was running out of ideas. And I was at the beginning, I was thinking, what am I going to do? And so you look along the people that you follow, and not that you're going to copy them, but you're kind of seeing what are other people in the space doing? What are people clicking on? And I was like, I should probably do something about what you should know as a beginner when you go into that bow shop. What are the certain things that they may ask you that it would be nice to know ahead of time before you go in there to buy your first bow?
Mm-hmm.
So I just turned the camera on, and I don't script anything. Like, I know some people script things. I may have some talking points that I want to hit on from a particular product that I don't want to forget. But when I hit record, I'm just babbling. And a lot of times I got to edit a lot of stuff out because I just go on forever.
Well,
But,
you're passionate, right? When you're passionate, you
well,
talk
yeah.
a lot.
So I'm talking about, I kind of broke it down into segments I wanted to hit. You should know your draw length, how long you pull back, and, how much weight you're going to pull back, and all of this stuff. And certain keywords they may ask you. And it was about, I want to say it's probably about 20 to 30 minutes total. And I posted that maybe a year and a half ago. And it's my most popular video. It's got, I think, 28,000 views right now. And I have weekly, I get messages from people thanking me for putting this out because I've saved them money, or I've made them think about, educating them about, they're a lot more comfortable now to walk into a store to buy something because they know what they're going to be asked ahead of time. There's just been such positive feedback back from that. That's kind of makes you feel good about what you're doing and reminds you that, this is worthwhile and people are watching it and they are getting it something from it. And then you get, on the flip side, you get those, keyboard warriors that I think are in their mom's basement eating Cheetos, just typing nonsense to everybody. And it's like, whatever, man. I'm not even going to listen to that. So, but there have been a lot more positive than negative from it. So
Oh,
it's
that's
always
great.
nice
I was going to
when you
ask, that was one of the questions I was going to ask you, was that
oh, okay.
how's your experience with the whole, like, comments and viewers interacting? So it sounds like you've had a lot more positive experiences than negative.
Yeah, there are negatives though. Like you will get people that want to throw their opinion around. And again, YouTube is all opinion based and people have to remember that. Like you might not agree with what I'm saying, but it's my opinion. I'm doing the video. You don't have to watch it. You can go watch something else.
Right.
But there are, a large group of people that enjoy just trashing people and, oh, your music's too loud, or why did you pick this song, or this is dumb, or this, it's like, why are you wasting your time? Like, nobody cares about, like, don't, some of the negative comments are just ridiculous to the point where it makes you wonder what they're doing with the rest of their life. Like, it's, you know, I almost want to respond. I usually don't respond. If it's really bad, I've had some that have been really bad. I just block the person. It's not even worth my time. But,
Right.
and I don't want to get into any kind of battles with, stupid people online. It's not worth it. So,
No, absolutely not worth it at
sometimes
all.
I'll just let it sit and wait for other people to jump in and attack them for their comment, which is also funny to watch.
Yeah.
But normally I won't say anything back. But yeah, it's sometimes it can be a little silly.
I remember a comment on one of my food videos, and it was one of the first few times that I decided to go on camera. I did a lot of off camera things, again, thinking people just wanted the food. And then some of the viewers were like, I'd really love for you to come on camera more. And one of the comments of when I finally did go on camera was, of course, attacking my weight. So my weight was part of the channel. I was cooking food to help me to try to lose weight. I had had a health issue. And this person was attacking the reason I was doing this channel right from
Yeah.
the get go. And I mean, I didn't even have to comment about it, I didn't have to do anything about it. YouTube immediately snagged that comment and pulled it.
Right.
And I could see he tried to do it again a few times, but it's interesting. Both YouTube and, your own viewership will absolutely get in there and fight the battles that you need fought
Mm-hmm.
if it's warranted, for sure.
Yeah, and sometimes I feel like responding, "Hey, when does your YouTube channel start?" So I can start watching your. But it's not worth it. It's not
It's
worth engaging them.
not worth it at all.
But it's funny, like some people will be like I'll post. I think I posted a video about one of those power banks that you take to charge devices,
Mhm.
and people are like questioning me about like technical stuff about the internal battery and whether it's this or that. I'm like, I don't know. Like, go to the company. Like, I'm just talking
I don't
about
know.
what you talk about. I don't know this. I don't know the scientific specs on how the this particular battery was built and when, and like, why isn't there a lightning charge cable for Apple? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't make it. Like, you're attacking me for something that I had nothing to do with. I'm just talking about it, you know?
Right.
But yeah, it's just, you can't, I know there have been people that even the people that I follow who are, we're talking millions of subscribers who still let those negative comments in to bother them. And it's just not worth it. Um, like I think Joe Rogan has mentioned before, you know, he'll post and then he ghosts, right? He puts it out there and he's gone. He doesn't read anything. He doesn't care. This is what his comment is or whatever. This is what he's talking about. And then he said that he has read them before, but he won't let it bother him because it's not worth it. And there's other people that were like, oh, this guy, I got to go after him because and you go into this rant back and forth. It's not worth it. You know, and like you said, with that reoccurring negativity from the same person, bye. I don't need you. Like, you're gone. I'm just going to block you. It's not worth it, right? I don't want you showing up on other videos. You're out. Like, usually I'll just let it go and not respond. But if it gets to the point where it's, because there have been a couple that have been back and forth, like constantly, I'm just like, block.
Yeah.
You're not worth my time and I don't want you in my space. So see you later.
Yeah.
Go bug somebody else, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Again, build your tribe for the people
Mm-hmm.
who vibe with you, you know?
Yeah.
So, Josh, we're going to be wrapping up here. I really appreciate your time. So, a couple last things from you. If there's any kind of advice that you would give to somebody who is starting to think about creating a channel, thinking about starting a business, or thinking about doing either or, what would you potentially say to that person? Is there any kind of advice, YouTube, Instagram, Reels, Shorts, whatever? Is there any kind of advice that you would give somebody today who is potentially looking to start out?
I think the most important thing is to uh, pick a topic or a niche that you enjoy talking about, something that you love doing. You know, like we said previously, like when I get on talking about this stuff, sometimes I don't stop and I ramble on a lot. Um, if you simply get into this for making money, you're going to fizzle out pretty quickly. It's not a quick way to make a buck. If you can find something that you enjoy and are just going to go with the process and see where it takes you, then that's the best way to do it, because you'll continue loving it as you go along. Like, I'm 2.5, almost 3 years into it, and I'm not stopping. So I'm just going to keep going. And even when videos take 4, 5, 6 hours, a couple of days to edit, I'm still loving the process because I'm loving what I'm talking about. And as you go through it, you'll gain knowledge about different camera angles that you enjoy using. So when I know that I've gone out and filmed for an hour or two outside, and I know I've captured everything that I was hoping to get, coming back in and spending those next, you know, 4, 5, 6 hours in front of the computer is sometimes even more enjoyable, because I know that I'm putting it together and I'm putting it to cool music. And I love that whole side of things, because I did a lot of music editing before I got into the whole video space, and it's very closely connected. So find something that you enjoy doing and that you're not going to get, you know, don't jump into, say, the finance world, because you know that there's going to be a lot of interest in that and you may grow really quickly. If that's not your thing, then don't even bother, because eventually you're not going to care enough, and that will come out through your videos. So
Either you're not
really,
there or you just don't have the knowledge to
right,
provide the insight
exactly.
there. Yeah.
And again, people will see through that pretty quickly. So
Mhm. I
so
agree. 110%. Do what you love. And there's no better thing of being able to kind of mesh your love and your hobby and being creative in one spot than there is with video, in
mhm.
my opinion, in my biased opinion. But all right. So last thing, I'm starting to do this with all my guests, is what is a message that you would like to give directly to your viewer, to the ideal person out there who might be watching this, about your channel and about you, or about the direction of where things are going? So here, 30, 60 seconds. Let's hear it.
I'm very thankful for the people who have come along thus far and continue to watch the videos that I put out. I'm wouldn't be where I'm at without those people. There is a lot more coming for 2024 that is, as I go through this, it's all expanding. And the more I do it, the more, I guess, companies are realizing that this way of advertising, where it comes from a personal creator, has a lot more to it for the company than them going out and spending thousands of dollars to hire someone and do the same thing, when they can get that same thing from people who are actually using their products. I was on the phone with a rep from a bow company, which we may be working together shortly in the future, possibly. Not 100% sure yet, but he basically said, I need to have people echo what the company is saying and not have the employees constantly coming on the screen saying the same thing because they have to, because they're getting paid for it.
Right.
So I think
Gone
the
are the
world is
magazine days where I
right.
pick up a magazine and just read whatever the biased review is for that magazine being paid to put
Right.
the article in there, right?
So I think there's a lot of room for people in this space, and I'm happy that people have come along and joined me, and I'm looking for hopefully expansion and having a lot more people come along for the ride, because it's just me talking about my experiences, and if I can help people along the way, which has kind of been how I started, then that's just makes me feel like it's all worthwhile. So a lot more coming for 2024. A lot of cool things are hopefully on their way to me to show you. So just got to keep going one day at a time, one video at a time, and make them the best we can.
Well, Josh, it sounds like you have some exciting things coming. I am looking forward to following your journey. I know my husband's a fan. So I'm looking forward to seeing you grow and seeing how your channel evolves over time, creating right there with you. Different niche, obviously, but creating right there with you. And I really do want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for being available and being so open and candid about our conversation today, because these types of conversations are what people want to hear. They want to have that hands-on experience of what creators go through. Whether you're a business owner becoming a creator or a creator building a business, this is such a good opportunity for people to get some insight of whether or not they do want to get into the creator influencer space. There's so many companies out there that are pushing their courses and pushing their programs and pushing their communities to make revenue and making it sound so amazing being a creator, and not enough people really talking about the journey of when you start versus, the Mr. Beast like views out there,
Right.
how it is to be at that root level. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And I'm wishing you all the best for 2024 and beyond.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it. I also just wanted to say there's a lot of room out here for everybody. So even if you're thinking or you're on the fence about starting something, just do it. Get a camera in your hand. Everybody has one in their pocket. I've used a lot of cell phone cameras other than the DSLR that I have. Like, this was $1,000 from Costco. It came in a bundle. It came with a couple of lenses. But I'm finding that also just using my phone at times is just as good, if not better quality. So just get out there and start creating things and put it up there, and you'll grow with it and see how people respond. There's lots of room for everybody out there, no matter what it is you're talking about.
Right. Thanks again. Appreciate you being here. Thank you for watching as well. I'm talking to you, Mr. Viewer, Miss Viewer, period. Thanks again.
Thanks.